Stretching makes us feel good. Whether you think it does anything for your performance or recovery, who knows? I'm gonna tell you, I've never left a stretching session where I felt worse or where I said, I wish I didn't do that, right? I always feel good leaving a stretching session. In a previous post, we talked about the different schools of thought when it comes to stretching for recovery, right? Whether it delays muscle soreness, whether it promotes relaxation, whether you should do it, when you should do it, and how you should do it. We went over that in a previous post. Click this link to check that out first before you try out these stretches. Maybe you don't really know how to stretch, you don't know the best routine for you, or maybe you don't think you have time. Stretching really only takes 5 to 15 minutes. It's quick, it's easy, and there's a low barrier to entry, right? It's not that difficult. You don't need to have a high training age. You don't need to be training for multiple years to understand how to stretch and to do some good stretches that will help you promote some relaxation, make your body feel good, and go into the next day feeling a little bit better. So hang out with me for the next 5 minutes, and I'm gonna show you my favorite pickleball stretch routine. All right, so this first exercise, we're gonna do a 90-90 breathing. So what that means is I'm gonna elevate my feet 90 degrees. This is roughly 90 degrees. My heels are just gonna slightly dig in to the bench, right? I'm not gonna dig them and lift my hips that high, but I'm gonna dig them just so like it kind of turns on my hamstrings. Just enough to kind of turn on the hamstrings and tilt the pelvis into a good neutral position. I'm gonna do this breathing of a 4-second inhale, a 7-second hold, and an 8-second outhale, kind of pursing it through my lips. So a deep 4 seconds, inhaling through your mouth or your nose, but really trying to get it into this belly and into your mid-back and trying to really fully inhale. Hold that. Don't let the air kind of get up into the neck and shrug up. I want the air down here, and then fully exhale everything out of your system, feeling your rib cages internally rotate, go down, and collapse. So I'm gonna do it one more time for you. Typically, I'll do this probably 4 times. What this does is, one, it's gonna really help promote relaxation. It's gonna kick the parasympathetic nervous system into gear. You have like a big vagus nerve attached like back and behind your diaphragm. So like when you belly breathe like this, it kind of almost like ignites that, like your diaphragm presses into that, and it kind of, it's gonna relax you. And one, it gets you, or two, it gets you into a good position, right? As I'm digging my hamstrings or my heels here, when it turns on my hamstrings, I'm getting my pelvis in a good position. And as I'm exhaling, I'm getting my ribs in a good position. Okay, so this next stretch is gonna be an active leg lower. I'm gonna use it with a band, or perform this with a band. You can also, if you don't have a band, you can perform this by lifting your leg and putting it in a door frame or on a wall. I'm gonna elevate both legs up. So both legs are gonna be straight as far as possible while keeping my knees pretty locked out. I have tension on this band. Then I'm gonna lower my opposite leg to touch my heel on the ground without moving this one, keeping my pelvis in this neutral position. I exhale, touch, and come back up. Right now I'm stretching my hamstrings. It's a little bit more of a dynamic stretch, obviously, because I'm moving. But this is one of the few dynamic stretches we'll have in this routine. Just because I like this one, it kind of activates the core as well. We'll do 6 reps. I don't even know how many I did there. I'll usually do 6 to 8 on each side. It's not about like pulling your leg as far and as deep as possible. You're trying to feel a stretch, right? You're trying to relax, but you want it to work the muscle. All right, staying in this position, using the same exact band. Now we're just gonna do a very static, similar stretch, but it's just gonna be a static hamstring and calf stretch. So I'm gonna get in that same position. I'm gonna keep my opposite leg down though. I'm gonna have the band a little bit more on the ball of my foot now. So a little bit further or closer to the toe. And I'm literally just gonna stretch my hamstring. Like I'm sure everybody has seen this stretch or has done this in PE class and whatnot. I wanna keep this knee pretty locked out. We're just going to the point of a good pull, right? I don't have to go super far past that. A good pull. After I hold for about 20 seconds, I'm gonna pulse my toe into the band. So I'm gonna go there and then go all the way down, get a little bit of calf. I'm gonna do 6 of those. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I'll switch. I'll do this one for you. I'll hold for 20. I'm gonna expedite it a little bit. Do my pulses. Make sure that the toes, you bring the toes all the way to the chest. All right, let the band pull them, get the calf stretch. Perfect. Okay, this next stretch is gonna be a pigeon stretch. So kind of like a figure 4 stretch, some might call it. Now we're gonna get into a little bit more glutes. So I'm gonna do my right leg for you. I'm gonna get it not so much in a 90-degree angle here, right? If I'll go straight on first, doesn't have to be like this, kind of like almost in a V. And then I wanna try and just get my elbows on the ground, try and get my chest on the ground if I can. And then I'm just kind of sitting here, right? I want this leg, this back leg, to be semi-straight as well. Then I'm just gonna lay here. This is very much a static stretch, sitting in it. And all I'm doing is I'm breathing in through my nose into my belly, pretty much pressing my belly into my thigh. I'll come up right after I've done about 30 seconds and I'll just place my palms on the ground. I'm gonna get my chest up nice and tall. Sit here. I'm getting a little bit more hip flexor now. Same thing, breathing. Getting my little bit of hamstrings, a lot of bit of glutes, and some opposite leg hip flexor. So we'll do both legs there. 30 seconds holding it down at the bottom, and then another 20 seconds as you lift up, palms on the ground, chest up. 20 seconds there, each side. All right, next exercise is going to be a half kneeling abduction with a rotation. So what does that look like? It's a lot of words. Half kneeling, right? I'm on this one knee. This leg is gonna be kicked out straight. I'm gonna have my foot flat on the ground, and I'm gonna try and honestly have my foot flat, toes pointed straight. I'm gonna push my butt back just a little bit to kind of get into this adductor. Then all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna thread my needle all the way through, and then I'm gonna look it up to the sky. Exhale up here, all the way down. That's 3. We'll typically do 6 each side. I'm just gonna expedite it, do the other side, slight push back, toe straight, foot flat, thread the needle. We're getting a lot of adductor stretch as well as a little bit of T-spine mobility, that thoracic mid-back mobility, being able to rotate in that position. All right, one of our last stretches that we'll do is a half kneeling quad stretch, or some like to call it a couch stretch, because you can do it anywhere. If you're at home, you can just do it on your couch. You don't need this little rear foot elevated machine, but I have it, so I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use this pad because I have it. But the goal isn't to elevate your foot as high as possible. That's where most people go wrong. So the goal is to do this as best as possible with getting this hip in a straight line. So if I'm doing this stretch like this, I'm losing, right? I'm doing it wrong. I need this glute to be squeezed to be able to get into this stretch. So if I have to start with my foot on the ground, that's okay. But if I can slowly elevate it up, that's good. The higher you can get it up, the better. But if you need to start with it on the ground, that's fine. So the goal of the stretch, keep this foot elevated, get this hip extended. So I need to squeeze this glute. So I need to be there, here this whole time. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna breathe in this position. I'm gonna lift up my arm, adds a little bit more into this whole line. I'll hold this for about 30 seconds, doing full inhales and full exhales. Continually trying to squeeze this glute and press this hip forward. Sometimes I can rotate a little bit with my torso. I can get a little bit more quad, a little bit more hip flexor. A lot of these are feel exercises too, right? Like it's stretching, right? It's not a strength exercise. It's not a power exercise. You got to feel it, right? And you need to be able to like connect your mind with the stretch. And if you're not feeling it enough in the right places, right, you need to be kind of connected with it. So make sure you're kind of connected with each stretch, feeling each stretch in the correct areas. We're going to end on my favorite stretch. And all you need is something to hold on to, like a pole, a post, literally anything like that. It's gonna be a split stance, lean away line stretch. A lot of people forget and struggle how to set up in this position. So my inside leg is gonna be forward. I'm gonna be perpendicular with the pole, right? So I'm right to the side of the pole. I'm gonna get right beside it just so this hand can kind of reach and grab, maybe a little bit closer. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lean my torso, push my booty and my hips out this way. And I'm gonna lean and grab with this left hand on the pole. My goal during this is to keep, one, this hip squeeze, this glute squeeze. And that's really it. Hold onto the pole. I'm kind of pushing with this hand and holding on tight with this opposite hand. So I'm really stretching this whole line of my lats all the way down my QL into my glute. So I'm here, I don't really have to rotate this way towards the pole. I wanna kind of keep my torso straight, pushing with this hand, holding on tight with my left hand, top hand. I'll sit and I'll breathe in this one. I feel all down the side of my back. This is a stretch I'll typically hold for about 30 seconds, or I'll go on breath counts, like maybe 6 to 8 big inhales and big exhales. This is good for your lats as well as your QL and the side of your body. If you like stretching, if you like mobility exercises, you need to check out my 5 favorite hip mobility exercises for pickleball. Link right here.